My name is Genevia Magnolia Patterson, and I am 76 years old.
Okay, today we're going to be interviewing you about history and your intake on that. So, how was your childhood?
Growing up was wonderful. I had a nice childhood, played childhood games, had my sisters with me, and me and my two older sisters used to sing at all the church anniversaries. So I had a wonderful childhood.
How is your life different as a child than it is for children of today?
Oh my goodness. Very, very different. Because back in our day, children seemed to have really more respect for the elders because our parents were strict on us. And when an elder person spoke to us, we had to obey.
How has family changed your life?
My family changed my life because I couldn't have had a better mother. And I had a wonderful, sweet aunt that took care of all of us. And anything we needed in school, my aunt seen that we got it. So at the time when I came up, my family was close. We was very close, we were very friendly, and we loved one another.
What was your typical lifestyle back then? How was your typical day?
Well, we didn't have no car, so we had to walk about everywhere we went, unless someone would pick us up. But my mother saw that we got to school, and she saw that we got to church.
Did you grow up on a farm?
I grew up on a farm, and in my day we had everything. Everything we needed we had. From animals to food, garden stuff. Everything we needed we had. Animals and food, everything.
Can you give an example of the prices you paid for items back in the day?
Oh my goodness, a soda went for 5 cents. And it was a knee-high soda, a big tall ball for 5 cents. And they had cookies for a penny. And these are candies, mergings, and the good candy won't but a penny, and everything was reasonable and cheap. We didn't make that much money, but the cost of living was so different back in the day than it is now.
Who were your role models when you were younger and why?
My mother, I guess. I never really seen no one that I wanted to be as a role model. I always wanted to be different and wanted to be myself.
Is there an historical figure that you admire?
I don't know about a figure, but my church is historic. My church has been around 160 years, and I've been going to that church all my life. And we had some good ministers that were really, really good. They were, they were old or historic, but they helped us to get in school and stuff like that.
Could you tell a little bit more about the history of the church?
Well, we came a long ways. And our church was once small, but at the beginning it was the number one church in the community because it was the oldest church in the community. And everybody was coming to my church. But as the years passed, people died out and some moved away and some left our church and joined other churches. So the church sort of like went down in membership and numbers. But the door has never closed. We have always been there. And a lot of churches started at my church, but they grew out of my church and went on and built other churches. And we have a Masonic Hall, which is the Masonic Lodge. They came out of my church too. So like I said, we've been celebrating 160 years. And during the pandemic of the COVID, we never shut it or closed down. And always kept the church open. And now my church is really, really progressing. And we have the membership has built back up, and the Lord have allowed us to do great, great, wonderful things. As a child, growing up, I really didn't like school and wanted to stay home with my mama. But mama made us go to school. She saw that we had everything we needed. But it really wasn't the school that I didn't like, it was the bus. The bus had too many people on it and too much noise on it, and every time I got off the bus, I had a terrible headache. And as I grew older, if mother would have let me drop out, I would have, but I'm glad she didn't. So I graduated from high school. And then I moved on and I went to college for 2 years. And I graduated with a social degree in early childhood. And then I went in the school system as a TA, but I worked with the special needs exceptional children, and I did it for 15 years. And the children loved me, and I loved them, and I miss them now. And I probably would still have been at school working, but they wanted me to drive a bus. And I had to get off of board because I couldn't handle that. I went to school to work with children, but I didn't go to school to drive a school bus. And that's what they were pushing me to do. And I went down to take the bus test, and I told the man my problem, and he told my file up, and I went back to school. But when I went back to school, the next time they had the bus thing, the principal sent me down there again. So I thought they were picking on me. So I just went on, got my paperwork together, and retired. And I retired in 2010. And it's 2024 now, and I'm enjoying my life.
That's really good. Which wars do you remember?
The Korean War. I had a first cousin in the Korean War, and he lived with us. And he went to war and fought on the front line. And he made it back out of the Korean War. And when he came back, he was real good to me and my sister. And his mother had bought him a brand new car, had it waiting for him when he got back. But after he got back, he didn't live long because he had a car wreck. And he got killed at 21 years old. And his mother never got over it. She felt it was her fault because she had bought him that car. But I remember that real well.
How was your life changed by these wars?
My life, the way I live, was not really affected by the wars that I know of. And we had the Vietnam War, and I had people in that war. And when they came back, they was a little paranoid, but other than that, everything was fine.
Did you write to them? Did you keep in contact with them?
I did not, but my mother did.
Were you impacted by segregation?
I was not impacted by segregation because I went to the same school all my life from first grade all the way through 12th. And the year that I graduated in 1965 was the last year before they segregated. So I didn't get to go to change schools and didn't get to go with other nationalities. I went to all African American school all my life from first grade all the way through 12th.
Do you remember where you were or what you were doing and your reaction to this news whenever they were going to racially combine
No,
the schools?
it didn't bother me. It got my sister, my baby sister that was under me. She had to go to the other school and in the segregation, but she adjusted and she was fine. But I never took part in that.
Do you remember the Kennedy assassination?
I do. Upset me real bad because I thought President Kennedy was a very nice president. And I liked him. And I liked a lot of things that he did. And I liked a lot of quotes that he made. So, yeah, when he got assassinated, President Kennedy, that upset me very much. I remember that.
Do you remember the Iran hostage crisis?
Iran hostage. I don't know about that.
Or the man on the moon?
Man on the moon. I don't know nothing about that either because I really don't think men got no business up there on God's moon.
What was your favorite TV show growing up?
Amos and Andy and the Little Rascals.
Growing up, were you ever a victim of racial segregation and/or discrimination?
I lived in a racial county, and where I'm living now is where I was bred and born, been living all my life. And if I ever did any shopping, I always made sure I got a receipt and a bag.
How's the role of women in home, the workplace, and community changed your life?
The role of women in the workplace has changed my life because I learned that a woman is strong and courageous and can do most anything. And we have some women that really, church wouldn't be as strong as it is if it wasn't for the role of women. So, but I still think a man should be the head of his household, but women is good in the workplace.
If you could live your life over again, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't work as hard as I've worked. I worked hard all my life. But I find some people ain't never worked and come out better than I did because it seemed like they got everything free. But that was their lifestyle. But working will pay off. I'm glad I work now because I did have some Social Security in, and now I'm not working. I'm retired, and I'm living a good life. And to be honest and truthful, I'm bringing in just as much money sitting home retired as I was when I was working. So I don't guess I would change anything.
What advice would you give to future generations?
And future generations, I would tell them to honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long upon the earth which thy God giveth thee. If it's your mother and your father, you do not respect them, you got to honor them. If you want to live a long life, because that's the word of God. Honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long. And when you talk back to your parents, regardless of how they are, if you the child, you talk back to them, you shortening your days. And what was the other one? For the future generation, be good to children and old people. Child can't help himself, he needs help. And as a person grow old, their days get shorter and their steps get shorter. You need to help your elders and help the children. What dating advice would I give to my granddaughter is that she pray over a good person. And don't you pick somebody that loves you. You may pick somebody that you love, but they may not love you. But make sure somehow that the person you date or pick love you. And don't get nobody that's lazy, don't want to work, nobody that you might have to support. You can do bad all by yourself.